This tutorial will start with configuration setup for standard SPC, followed by an advanced SPC plan, associated actions, and an SPC numerical display window. The next tutorial covers how to create a histogram chart, an X-bar range chart, how to export SPC values using a statistics measurement, and the basic SPC summary report. SPC stands for Statistical Process Control. The resulting statistical analysis provides values representing the performance or capability of your manufacturing process. Standard SPC provides basic statistics such as max, min, average, range, standard deviation, as well as the PP and PPK performance index. It can be used with the histogram chart. Advanced SPC provides these options as well as an X-bar range chart, CP and CPK process capability index, and uses subgroups and control limits. To configure standard SPC, open full configuration by pressing TotalVu on the main application window and select full configuration. Then enter SPC plans and execute standard SPC. Click on the next tab entitled Measurements to begin. When you first created your measurements, one of the setup screens asked you to select each SPC plan that you want to maintain statistics for your measurement. If you placed a check in the box to the left of Standard SPC, that measurement will now appear in the selected measurements list above. To select additional measurements, click on each measurement and press Add. To deselect any measurements, click on the measurement and press Remove. When complete, click the next tab entitled Discrete Samples. Designating a measurement to be sampled discretely allows the user to take a single sample of a measurement stream by executing an action. If you leave the box unchecked next to a measurement, the plan will accept every reported value for this measurement as long as the SPC plan is turned on. To use discrete sampling, place a check in the box to the left of each desired measurement, then use the action SPC Start Sample to execute each time you want to collect another sample. This will sample all measurements marked as discrete at the same time. If you do not want to sample all of them, you may select which measurements you want to sample by using the action SPC Start Sample for individual measurements. If either of these actions are executed again before the selected measurement reports a new value, it will wait for and then collect the next reported value. To cancel this pending collection, use the action SPC Cancel Pending Sample for individual measurements. When complete, click the next tab at the top entitled Deferred Sampling. Designating a measurement for deferred sampling will place all collected measurements in a queue, allowing you to either accept or reject all queued measurements on action execution. To use deferred sampling, place a check in the box to the left of the desired measurement. Then use the action SPC Accept Deferred Samples to accept the queued measurements, and the action SPC Reject Deferred Samples to reject the queued measurements. At the end of this setup, the software will automatically create these two actions for each designated measurement for you, and will name them Accept Samples and Reject Samples, followed by the name of each measurement. When complete, click the next tab at the top entitled Options. If you want to back up your statistics, place a check in the box to the left of Backup SPC Data and type an interval in seconds in the blank. On software start, the SPC plan statistics will repopulate with the most recent save. Click the next tab at the top entitled Startup. On software startup, select if you want this SPC plan turned on, off, or to restore the state when last shut down by selecting the applicable radio button. Then click OK. Next, we will set up an advanced SPC plan. If you have purchased Advanced SPC, you will see this icon enabling you to add an advanced SPC plan to your configuration. Execute Add SPC Plan. Select the measurements for which you want this SPC plan to maintain statistics. When complete, click Next. First, specify the sample interval for your SPC plan. Once each subgroup begins, this rule will be followed until the subgroup count is satisfied. It can be based on a time interval, a measurement count, or distance. If you want this interval measured from the start of one sample until the start of the next sample, select Frequency. If you want this interval measured from the end of one sample until the start of the next sample, select Delay. To allow the sample freedom to execute within the bounds of the adjacent sampling, check the box to the left of Use Random Start for next sample. Alternatively, you may signal each sample using an action. Choose Action, then type or select the name of the action to use. If the action does not exist, the software will create it for you. Specify the subgroup interval for your SPC plan. This rule will specify the beginning of each subgroup. Once the subgroup begins, it will follow the rule above until the subgroup count is satisfied. Define this interval using the same tools as the sample interval. If you are planning to start a subgroup at the top of every hour, consider using a random start to ensure operators cannot learn this timing. The subgroup will then begin anywhere within the hour. Specify the number of samples to include in each subgroup. For this example, a sample will be taken twice every second until 10 are collected. It will then delay 2 seconds before repeating on the next subgroup. When complete, click Next. If you want control limits calculated for your X-bar and range charts, configure How and When here. X-bar control limits and range control limits are both calculated automatically using QI analysts based on the mean of sample means, the mean of sample ranges, and the number of samples included in each subgroup. You may calculate once for use until the plan is reset, or more than once. Specify the calculation interval using the same tools used for sample collection intervals. Then specify how many of the last subgroups to use in the calculation here. For this example, after a 1-minute delay, the software will use the last 10 subgroups to calculate control limits. These will be in place until the SPC plan is reset. When complete, click Next. If you want SPC data to be restored on system startup, check the box to the left of Backup SPC Data and specify an interval in seconds. If the system is shut down intentionally or by a power outage, the next startup will restore the last backup. Then click Next. On startup, select if you want the SPC plan actively collecting data, turned off, or to restore the last state. Then click Next. Enter a name to use to reference this SPC plan. When complete, click Finish. With the SPC plan complete, the next step is to configure and assign actions to control it. Configure the actions SPC Start, SPC Stop, and SPC Reset. As the configuration needed for these three actions are identical, this tutorial will only show how to set up SPC Start. Close SPC plans and enter Actions. Execute Add Action. Under New Action, browse for SPC Start. Enter an appropriate name to refer to this action. I am naming mine SPC Start All, as I plan to set this action to act on all SPC plans. Click the next tab at the top entitled SPC Plans. Out of the available SPC plans below, select each plan you want this action to apply to. If you want this action to apply to all SPC plans, even plans that have not yet been defined, click the previous tab at the top entitled Action, and check the box to the left of Act on All SPC Plans. Then press OK. Next, configure the actions SPC Stop and SPC Reset using the same settings. Now assign these three actions to be triggered as needed. For this demonstration, I will use three buttons for this purpose. To learn how, watch the tutorial on actions and buttons. For a real-time view of your statistics viewable during the run, you can create an SPC data numerical display. Close full configuration, press the Window menu on the main application window, and select New Window. Click the radio button to the left of SPC Data, and click Next. SPC is maintaining statistics for all of the measurements appearing in this window. Select the measurement statistics you want to display by placing a check in the box to the left of each desired measurement. If your desired measurement does not appear, go back and add it to your SPC plan before continuing. When complete, click Next. Out of the available fields below, select and add the statistical data to be displayed. Please note that out-of-spec and flaw statistics can be displayed in this window, but are not part of your SPC plan. For more information, see the tutorials on tolerance tracking and flaw detection, respectively. I recommend starting with the standard selection by clicking Select Default Fields, and then adjust as necessary. If you selected multiple measurements for display, I also recommend keeping the measurement name to be displayed. When complete, click Next. Select an orientation for your display. By row will orient all data fields for one measurement horizontally. By column will stack the data fields vertically. Next, if desired, you may change the spacing between the data fields. Use vertical spacing for more clearance up and down, and horizontal spacing for more clearance left and right. If you have selected multiple fields for display, you may want them labeled. Check the box to the left of Show Labels once to label each row only along the left border, and twice to label to the left of every column. I will click it one time. If you don't want the labels aligned vertically within their respective row, enter a displacement in pixels here. When complete, click Next. If you decided to include data field labels, you may change the font, style, size, and color by pressing Select Label Fonts. You may also change the font, style, size, and color of the values in the data fields by pressing Select Value Fonts. You may change the background and foreground colors here and here. The data field width may be changed here. The height is automatically adjusted according to the font size. If the selected field width here does not accommodate the entire data field, it will be truncated. In the preview screen, you may see the relative sizes of all the attributes for one data field, allowing you to adjust accordingly. When complete, click Next. Change the display order of your selected measurements by clicking and pressing Move Up or Move Down. Then click Next. Enter a name for your window to be displayed on the title bar and to use to reference this window elsewhere in the program. Then click Finish. Reposition this display as needed. With measurements running, execute the SPC Start action to start collecting data within your SPC plans according to their respective sampling rules. Notice how the sample count color changed from red to green when I executed the SPC Start action. Discontinue plan sampling by executing the SPC Stop action. Reset with the SPC Reset action. Notice how the sample count goes to 0 when reset. For SPC chart and export options, see the next tutorial. Thank you for watching. This has been Tutorials by Joel.